So for the first day of the quadratics unit, we're going to start by talking about a couple different forms. So the first one is vertex form. Vertex is when our quadratic is in the form of y equals a x minus h squared plus k. And we call it vertex form because it's easy to find the vertex, our h and k. Standard form, this is the form you worked with a lot last year, is when it's ax squared plus bx, not px, bx plus c. And then we have intercept form. And intercept form is y equals a, x minus p, x minus q. And one thing I want you to note on intercept form, it's very close to last year when you guys factored. But if you had an equation last year in factored form, like if you had 2x plus 1 times 3x plus 5, to turn it into this intercept form with that a out in front, we have to get rid of these coefficients. So divide by 2, this one we divide by 3. So the 2 comes out in front, so we have x plus half. The 3 comes out in front, so we have x plus 5/3. And then we multiply the 2 and the 3 together. So in intercept form, it'd be y equals 6 x plus half times x plus 5/3. And then we can identify the x-intercepts of -half and -5/3. So really close to factor form, just slightly different. So when we look at this graph, we're going to go over some things you guys talked about last year. So our vertex here. Our vertex is -1.25 and -6.125. Our axis of symmetry is that line that goes through the vertex. So your axis of symmetry. And that's the equation x equals -1.25. Our y-intercept would be the 0, -3. And then our x-intercepts, I'll write that over here, we have -3, 0, and 0.5 and 0. So the second thing we're going to look at are these forms and how to find the y-intercept and the vertex. So in standard form, the y-intercept is really easy. All we have to do is, our y-intercept is where x equals 0. So if we plug that in, we'd have y equals 2 times 0 squared plus 3 times 0 minus 8. So we end up with y equals -8. So our y-intercept is 0 and -8. The y-intercept's easy for all of these. All we have to do is plug in 0. So we have y equals 3, 0 minus 4 squared plus 2. So let's see, -4 squared is 16. So 3 times 16 plus 2. So 3 times 16, so we got 48 plus 2. So our y-intercept is 50, so it's the coordinate 0, 50. And same thing for intercept form. All we do is plug in 0. So y equals -3, 0 minus 4 times 0 plus 5. So we have -3 times -4 times 5. So we got -20 times -3, so we have 60. So our intercept is 0 and 60. Now when we get to the vertex, the easiest is vertex form because it's that h and k. So that's why we like this form, is it gives us our vertex, so 4 and +2. And always remember the x, even though it's -4, it's the opposite, because our form here, when we look at our form, it's minus h and k, and it's just that h and the k. That's our vertex. When we go to standard form, to get our x coordinate, x equals the opposite of b over 2a. So the opposite of b, so we'd have -3 over 2 times 2. So -3 over 4, so -0.75. So to get our y value, we'd have to plug that in. So y equals 2 times -0.75 squared plus 3 times -0.75 minus 8. So our vertex is -0.75, and then I'll leave this for you guys to calculate out. Whatever you get right here, there's your y coordinate. And then for intercept form. So intercept form, we like intercept form because it tells us where it crosses. So this tells us it crosses at 4 and -5. And it's a -a coefficient, so we know it's a parabola facing down. Well, what do you know about our vertex? Well, it has to be right in the middle of our intercepts. So the x-coordinate is that middle. So in the middle of 4 plus -5 divided by 2. So we have -½ And then to get our y-coordinate, we just plug in that x value. So -3 times -½ minus 4 times -½ plus 5. So we have -3 times -4.5 times 4.5. And there's our y-coordinate. So again, I'll leave you to plug this into the calculator. So our coordinate, our vertex, is the coordinate -½ And then if you plug this into the calculator, whatever we get there is our y-coordinate.